So to talk about that, we brought in a friend, a former Northwestern State Demon legend, hooper, and former Southern University basketball coach, now the athletic director at Southern. He is Roman Banks. And I still call you Coach, Roman. I can't help it, man. I've known you as Coach forever. First of all, before we kind of get into all of the stuff going on with the SWAC, how are you? How's your family? How's everyone doing?
Well, everyone is doing the best they can in these unusual circumstances, but, trying to stay social distant and emotional attached at the same time. And so we all are healthy and trying to stay healthy and trying to make sure that we do everything we can to empower everyone else to do the right thing to stay healthy.
By the way, I love that. Socially distanced, yet emotionally attached. I love that.
Yes, sir.
Well, put that on a mask, man. That's beautiful.
Well, we often, everybody's kind of isolated now, and even in my own family, you got loved ones with underlying conditions and all, and it's you can't walk up to them and give them a hug anymore. You got to bump shoulders, or you got to stay separated. So this is an unusual time for us right now, especially us that live in the South that greet everyone with a hug.
No, I understand. We're a group of huggers in here. Me and Rogers, we're both big huggers. We totally get it. All right, so the decision was announced yesterday. The president's got on the horn and made the decision to basically suspend or postpone fall sports. I don't say canceled everybody. They didn't cancel anything. They just moved them back. Walk me through this process of your president at Southern, the conversations you were having, how this was all going, conversations you're having with other members of the SWAC, of different schools. Tell me, just kind of walk me through how all this was sort of progressing up into this vote yesterday.
Well, this is something that we've been working on for weeks. This just didn't happen in a matter of a couple of days. I got to give credit to our Commissioner Charles McCullen of how he navigated this COVID issue with the athletic directors. We was on a couple of calls a week and formed different committees so we can all bring different studies and different ideas to the table. And with that being said, we all was having conversations with our president, keeping them in the loop, and he often had meetings with the president probably once every 2 weeks to keep them updated of what's going on as we continue to try to find a remedy to COVID-19. And obviously, we made our recommendations to the athletic directors. When I say we made our recommendations to and gave our reasons why we should move everything to the spring, and the council presidents who work closely with us during this process, they empowered our voting and voted yes so we can move forward. And I think the thing about it is moving forward with a plan. We just didn't want to say, well, we're not going to play football right now. We wanted to have a plan about what it'll look like in the spring. And we know it'll have some causes and effect, but how we plan on navigating through it.
Okay, so how many iterations of plans did y'all go through before you finally settled on what you released with the training camp kind of in February or January, excuse me? Then you start the actual season, 6 games, and then a potential to pick up a non-conference game. How many different plans were in place before you kind of settled on that one?
We basically had our working season in place, the regular schedule that's out right now. We had an idea to probably play all conference games in October. And we had our third proposal to move to the spring. I actually been an advocate of the spring for a long period of time. And as we continue to face challenges with testing and cost and making sure the issue at hand is keeping the student athletes safe and dealing with our demographics and our financial recipe, what we had to offer at a low major institution. We know that we didn't have, or we didn't feel comfortable as a conference. All the universities in our conference that we could put the very best safe product out there for our student athletes. Mm-hmm. And so we went back and forth. We disagreed to agree, and we came up with the process of moving, football to the spring.
I don't know that this is specific to you, but it's just kind of a general question. You've been a coach, you've been now an administrator, athletic director. It's always seemed kind of odd to me that when it comes to athletics, that the presidents are the ones that make a lot of these decisions, because oftentimes you don't have presidents that have an athletic pedigree or necessarily have that sort of interest in athletics. I know a lot of times it is. I know at Northwestern, Chris Maggio, he's a former athlete and coach. But I'm curious, did you feel like as athletic directors, you were heard the way you wanted to be heard before the presidents went in to ultimately make this decision?
Well, let's be clear. I think that our process works, that the ADs vote policies and procedure in, but still our council president still have to have a vote to approve it.
Mm-hmm.
That's our policy. And so our president just continued to do what our institution, our conference calls for, and that's procedure and policy. And so they basically agree with everything that we said. And not only that, is that there was a conversation that we were having, that we were not mandated, but strongly urged by the conference office to communicate with the president so they can have an understanding of what was going on. So I don't feel like that they hired us to be the athletic directors, and we had a communication with them. They knew what was going on, and they took our recommendation.
Gotcha.
And so that's more. I don't see them actually just. And I think also they put they leadership of the university and being the presidents and the chancellors of the university. I think also safety was the number one factor for them as well. So I think it was easy for them to vote this in by following our recommendation and also believing in their values as well.
Talking to Roman Banks, athletic director for Southern University, there was a little bit of an inconsistency in the press release, Coach. It was mentioned at first a 7-game conference schedule and then a 6-game conference schedule. I read it as a 6-game conference schedule with the potential of a non-conference or a 7th game. Is that correct?
So to be clear, that we East and West, so everybody will play everybody one time on your side.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be 4 games. You'll play 2 teams, 1 home and 1 away on the other side, and you either have a chance to play a non-conference game or play someone else on the other side or not play at all. Okay,
I got you. So you could have 6 or 7 games. You could have a 7 conference or 6 conference and 1 non-conference. I got you. Okay.
Right.
It's interesting because, Coach, I come at this from a broadcaster's background. I've been calling Northwestern State sports for a long time, but I also come at it from a little bit of a sports information director's background, because that's what I was before I got into broadcasting. Logistically, putting a football season in the middle of kind of the end of basketball season and the beginning of baseball, softball season, not to mention volleyball and soccer, etc. Logistically, and I know you don't necessarily have all this worked out yet, but how much of a challenge could this be, especially for institutions that don't necessarily have the resources, the 6, 7, 8 people in sports information, the overwhelming numbers of athletic trainers, marketing and ticketing folks? Just what kind of a challenge is this going to be at a university level to put a football and a soccer and other seasons in the spring?
I think that, our work as athletic directors is about to go to another level.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been dealing with COVID, and now you talk about dealing with COVID and trying to play a game, football season with all the other sports in the spring. And it's going to be up to us to put together a recipe that makes sense. Obviously, we're going to take out all the schedules that each institution have, put them on the table, and then try to work through a process from the conference office of how a schedule look, because all those things that you just stated will be very impactful. But at the same time, this is an unusual circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
This is not normalcy. COVID-19 has thrown all us for a loop, and and we still have unseen dangers about COVID. And so to try to make things normal, it's gonna be some unnormal actions, and so this probably never happened before. So that means what? Everybody has to sacrifice. Softball and baseball sacrificed when COVID came on the scene. So I'm saying that we have a format, but there will be some sacrifices, and there's going to have to be some commitment on the campuses to make this work. And the first thing that we want to do is make sure our students are healthy and safe, and then we want to give them a good experience. And so I just think that there will be game-changing moves, as we meet, because this gives us the best opportunity to have a football season, and for us to give these student athletes a chance to get on the court or on the field in a particular sport. And so I think everybody, we all have to take a deep breath, because this is not normal. And so we're living in not a normal circumstance. Then there's going to be some thinking out the box and some things that don't happen normal until we're able to assist ourselves to get back to that. And so there will be some sacrifices, and there will be some decisions made that won't be popular probably, but it's going to be in the best interest of the student athletes and the university as well.
Talking to Roman Banks, athletic director for Southern University. So basically what I'm hearing, Roman, is that everything is sort of on the table right now in terms of what you may have to do come springtime. Do y'all have a timetable, or did y'all discuss any sort of timetable? Hey, we need to make a decision by October or November or whatever, or is it fluid in that way where, depending on what happens in the next couple of months, we'll make a decision sometime down the road?
Well, so we came out of the meeting and we have some benchmarks, and so first of all, we came out and said what we plan on doing with football, and we had medical doctors in talk about recovery time, and so basically we put a format together that basically say if we start here and finish by this time, their bodies can recuperate and we can get back to normal. If the virus let us get back to normal in August of next year. And so the next thing is that there will be some changes, because you still have to have dialogue, communications with the NCAA as it relates to championships for soccer and volleyball. Right. Because if the NCAA is still going to go on, for instance, in November with championships for volleyball, and we're not able to play volleyball, then you don't sacrifice the student athlete's eligibility. And so there are still, and that's the reason why we didn't mention as much, because there has to be some more conversations. Football is a little different. We don't go to a bowl game, and so there's a little different independency there. And so we have to continue to talk about other sports and put a plan together as we navigate through the blueprint that we put out for football.
Do you? I know I felt like it was sort of a fait accompli, but you had the Southern Grambling game, the Bayou Classic is such a great game. Are you in the minutia of that yet, or to where you're saying, okay, let's talk about rescheduling this date? Are you even that far yet, or is this simply, hey, this is our plan, we'll start to work on the details as we go along?
Well, once again, that Grambling and Southern game is going to be led through the conference office, with the ADs meet with the conference officers, put together that whole schedule. So if you ask me a date of the Southern and Grambling game for the spring, we don't have that.
Sure.
But we are looking, as we start to work next week, we're looking for the next 2 to 3 weeks, 21 days, to try to format a schedule so we can put it out there, and so we can start working our campuses around the spring sports and making sure we have coverage in all the places that we need. So if there needs to be adjustment to be made, we can make those adjustments.
Coach, do you ever sometimes wish you were just a basketball coach again?
Well, when this coronavirus came on the scene, I definitely thought about it. I mean, I had only about 13 guys and 4 coaches to be concerned about, but now, it's a lot more sitting at this table.
Yeah.
But I think the Lord put you in place for a reason, and And I'm always going to err on the side of caution to make sure student athletes are safe. I have a conviction that one life, sacrificing one life because you think that they are young enough and they resilient enough, makes a difference. I don't believe that. I believe that I would not want to put my student athletes in that position.
Mm-hmm.
I just had that type of conviction, and so I'm thankful that we did push this thing back to the spring. So hopefully, as time comes, that this virus we can find a solution to it with a vaccine or medicine that won't make life so fatal. We do realize, as a historical psychologist, that we deal with a different demographic, and so we know that we face issues with underlying conditions. We have some players with underlying conditions,
Mm-hmm.
and we definitely don't want a kid to go play a game and go hug mama and grandma and pass the virus. And so, right now, we think we made the best decision. And when you start talking about life and safety, I think that people would agree with us.
Roman, the one thing I keep saying on my show is this isn't an either-or proposition with this virus. It's not you die or you live a normal life. There are so many people that are having long-term consequences from this that aren't death, that, reduced lung capacity, heart issues, strokes, that kind of thing. To me, I would always err on the side of caution because it's not like, hey, these kids are just not going to die. Yeah, that might be fine, but they might also come away with life-altering medical issues that are going to affect them for the rest of their lives. So to me, caution is the number one thing to remember here, because it's not a life or death scenario. It's hey, maybe something comes, someone comes down with something that is a life altering, and maybe they don't get to play sports anymore. They don't die, but they don't get to live the way they would like to.
You're exactly right, and we spoke about that at the AD table. Someone brought the same point that you brought out. And not only that, you have a responsibility to your coaches. They're much older in age and asymptomatic and pass it to them, and they going home to their families. And so there's a apprehension for everyone. And, our coaches agreed, as we kept everybody in the loop, they all agreed that this was the right thing to do, even for them individually with their teams. And so, with that understanding, it makes it a little better to go to sleep at night when you feel like that you really have wrapped your arms around the situation and you're protecting your loved ones. In this case, this is our student athletes, our fans that come to the game, our coaches, and all our administrators.
Well, Coach, I'll tell you this: I'm happy to know you're in charge. I know you're a upstanding guy, and I know that you'll lead the Jags in the right direction. As always, please stay safe, be careful out there, and we look forward to catching up with you soon.
All right, take care of the Demons.
All right, I'll do my best. Roman Banks, Athletic Director for Southern University.